Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Real Mom Manual podcast. This show is for moms who love their full lives, but are carrying a lot and are done with that unnecessary chaos, making it harder than it already is. I'm Michelle, mom of 3, including 1 with Down syndrome. And around here, we focus on systems, rhythms, and special needs support. Not perfect, not effortless, just making life simpler to manage. Less friction, that is the goal. So January always messes with my head a little bit. There's the subtle pressure in the air, like we're all supposed to wake up January 1st with clarity, motivation, discipline, a 5-year plan that we had no thoughts about until December 31st. Even though we are still tired, recovering from December and the holidays, and probably still finding random ornaments, junky toys, all kinds of stuff in places they don't belong. For me, January shows up with a house that feels off, routines that aren't really working yet or need to be reset, kids who are overstimulated and underregulated, and this lingering thought of, why do I already feel behind? The year just started. What is wild about this too is that nothing is technically wrong. Life is moving, the kids are fine, we're getting through the days, but internally there is this urge to fix everything at once, reset harder, organize more, overcome and overhaul routines like they will finally create some sense of calm. Over the years, I have noticed this pattern in myself. When things feel messy, my instinct is to tighten control. New routines, new systems, new goals. It looks productive on the outside, but internally, it's just pressure stacking on top of pressure. And that's how perfectionism sneaks in, disguised as, quote, productivity. It whispers that if you could just get it right, you'd finally feel settled. But most of the time, that all or nothing thinking is really keeping us stuck. So a few years ago, I stopped setting big New Year's resolution goals, and I started choosing a word of the year or even a phrase of the year instead. Not because it's trendy, I know a lot of people do this and that's awesome, but because it gives my brain something very, very simple to come back to when things get loud. Some years my word has been about structure or effort. Some years it's been about letting go or dynamics or something. This year, for 2026, my word I chose is peace. And the phrase that keeps coming up alongside it is, not my problem. Not in a dismissive way, not in a careless way, in a, I gotta try and figure out how to protect my energy and stop absorbing everything way. Peace doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing fewer things on purpose. Over the last few weeks, when I catch myself spiraling or overthinking, I have been quietly saying to myself, not my problem. And while that phrase would sound very harsh if you said it out loud to somebody, internally, it's been incredibly clarifying. Things that used to sit with me for a while, like skipping teacher gifts this year or saying no to certain events, still registered as something that frustrated me, but they didn't linger. I noticed discomfort and then it kind of passed, which was great. I am realizing that I can still be the person who loves thoughtful extras and showing up generously, but it doesn't have to be every time, all the time, as I would have purposely gone overboard and then resented in the past. Life has seasons, capacity changes, and peace requires a little bit of discernment. A big example of this for me and my family. A big example of this for me and my family this year was Thanksgiving. With both sides of our family in town, layered family dynamics, and a recent family loss last year that was right before the holidays, I made a decision that I talked about, but I never actually followed through on. And this is something I've talked about for multiple years with just my husband. I made restaurant reservations. Multiple ones, actually. And a few weeks beforehand, I told my husband, hey, I made 3 restaurant reservations, and I asked which one of these restaurants he preferred so I could cancel the other so somebody else could use it for Thanksgiving. And he laughed, surprised, but proud. And it was, honestly, great. No cooking, no cleanup, no emotional hangover. We ate at 2 o'clock. We wrapped by around 4:30. Everyone went their separate ways. The kids went to bed on time. It was different. It was still very nice. You could have turkey if you want. We went to an Italian restaurant and their food was excellent and it worked. Here is the reminder that I want you to tuck away for later this year. Just because something is tradition, it doesn't mean it has to happen every single year. And if it's not working, other people's disappointment does not automatically become your responsibility. And this is something that I have had to process over multiple years and in multiple situations. So it's something that we will definitely talk more about in future episodes. Here's something that no one really tells you. Your brain is wired to basically shut down when things feel vague, heavy, overwhelming. It is not a mindset issue or a you issue. It's literally biology. So when goals are too big or undefined, like get organized, be healthier, do better, your brain doesn't even know where to start. So it just completely stalls out. Progress works when it's tiny, visible, repeatable. Another lesson that I have had to learn over multiple years. That is why progress over perfection isn't just a mantra, it's literally a life strategy. I used to get stuck in this loop where if I couldn't finish something completely, I wouldn't even bother starting. Or if I couldn't get it done perfectly just so, I wouldn't even bother. But once I accepted that done, at least somewhat done, or trying something new or doing something a little bit different beats perfect every time, that momentum followed. Progress can look like simple as one load of laundry moved through the cycle, one calendar reminder added so you don't forget that doctor's appointment that you scheduled 3 months from now or farther. I mean, dentists out here are a year out. That's insane. One decision made a little bit easier. And that counts as forward momentum. Traction is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It quietly makes tomorrow a little bit easier than today. When you're parenting a child with special needs, perfection isn't just unrealistic. It is completely exhausting. Progress might look like one better transition, one regulation win. You tried something new and different. One new support at school. One new word spoken or even approximation. And a lot of that progress happens without witnesses. It's you and your child. You're not failing or anything at all because growth is not linear. The work is layered. We start with so much hope, not because we're naive, but because we want our kids to know that we believe in them. We believe in you. But sometimes reality does not at all match expectations. When my son was about 2, I tried a mom and me gymnastics class. The coach was kind and flexible and encouraging. She said, "Oh, I will help you. You help him. Whatever you need me to do, let me know." We tried that twice. And after the second class, I cried at home. It was a struggle. I could just tell this was not it. And he struggled through the class, and I didn't want disruption, we'll say, for other kids. Yes, he belongs there. But is it right for him? Not necessarily. My husband gently reminded me as I was crying, it's not a failure. It's just not the right fit. And that reframed everything. Over time, I stopped forcing an experience that might be right for a typical child, but is not necessarily right for a special needs child. Is it worth trying? Sure. You want to support that child too, where they are at, and not force them to feel different. I started supporting strengths instead. And that shift majorly matters. Right now, at home, my own progress looks totally unglamorous. The playroom and garage now are still very much in process. The playroom has been my absolute nemesis, but I did make one meaningful change. I ordered a proper, whatever you want to call it, desk, work table, whatever, to replace a tiny IKEA desk that we will move into my daughter's room that was too small to actually be functional. So my husband set it up, and he actually, over break when he took off, started using it. So that was huge progress and felt really good. Honestly, the garage, on the other hand, is a lot harder. It's where things go to stall, at least in our house. Bins labeled to sell could sit there indefinitely. And sometimes the most honest question that you could ask is, do I actually want to deal with this, or do I just want my space back? And remember, it is okay, despite what other people may tell you, to just throw things away or recycle them if it makes you feel better. If your capacity right now is a trash bag and your garbage can instead of a donation run, that is forward motion for you in your life where you're at right now. Momentum matters more than perfection. It's all good. So progress over perfection shows up at dinner too. And this year I am prioritizing predictability over novelty, which is something that I have not a lot of experience with because I am all about the novelty, or I try to meal plan and it never quite gets there. So last week it was rotisserie chicken. This week it's ground beef, and it might not sound literally groundbreaking, but I brown a few pounds at once. I use it all week. Tacos, pasta sauce, bowls, sloppy joes, whatever it might be, or I'll freeze it for later. Often naked with no sauce, seasonings, whatever, so I can use it for different types of meals. Again, novelty to a point, but not novelty, all different kinds of proteins, crazy different dinners. One pan, fewer decisions, less cleanup. Predictable dinners like this reduce decision fatigue, because when you open that fridge and that's your choice, that's your choice. Calmer evenings often follow. So if January feels heavy and frustrating, you are not behind. You don't need some kind of dramatic reset or traction or whatever else. It doesn't shout progress. It whispers. And if something needs to be dropped this week, guess what? Drop it. It's okay. Peace is built one intentional decision at a time. Next week, we are talking about decision fatigue and the target trap, how good intentions often turn into clutter, and the simple filter that I use before I bring anything new into our house. Thanks so much for listening to the Real Mom Manual podcast. If something in this episode made you think that would actually help, share it with another mom who might need it. And if you want to help more moms find the show, taking 30 seconds to leave a review genuinely makes a difference. Until next time, keep it real, keep it simple, and I'll talk to you soon.